Thank you for inviting me to participate in this year's conference, Canada-Africa Chamber of Business Conference, which comes at a very critical time as we implement the African Continental Free Trade Area and as we are nearing the end of the first year of trading under the AfCFTA. It's a pleasure for me to share with you our vision and our objectives in terms of trade and investment relations between Canada and the AfCFTA market. Let me start by congratulating the Canada-Africa Business Forum for convening this meeting, of course, at a very difficult time occasioned by COVID-19. But nonetheless, I congratulate you for being able to convene what I hope will be a very successful conference. As you know, Canada's commercial engagement with Africa has increased over the past 2 decades. Canada more than tripled her exports to Africa from $1 billion in 2001 to just over $3 billion in the year 2018. In 2019, there was about $10.5 billion in Canadian direct investment in the African continent and almost $40 billion in mining assets. In 2020, Canada had $11.5 billion in two-way merchandise trade with African countries. The potential, however, exists for a more robust partnership that brings more trade and investment to spur sustainable and inclusive development in Africa, while at the same time contributing to Canada's economic growth. Today, we have a platform to enhance this trade and investment relationship. The African Continental Free Trade Area has the potential to deepen trade and investment relations and cooperation between Canada and many African countries. And I'm pleased that this session, this 3-day conference, will focus on exploring Canada-African Union collaboration, free trade, and partnerships with institutional investors. Ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned earlier, since the 1st of January this year, it became possible for state parties whose customs procedures are ready to trade under the AfCFTA. We currently have 42 countries that have ratified the agreement establishing the AfCFTA. This signals a very strong commitment to reduction of barriers of intra-Africa trade, reduction of barriers to investment, intra-Africa investment, and it signals a strong commitment to adhere to the single set of rules for trade and investment on the African continent. As you may well be aware, Africa is a big continent, 3 times the area of China, 3 times the area of Europe, and 3 times the area of the United States of America. If Africa were one economy, a consolidated economy, with its combined GDP of 3.4 trillion United States dollars, which is projected by the year 2035 to be almost 7 trillion United States dollars, Africa would be the 5th largest economy in the world after the US, China, Japan, and Germany. Our continent is a big market, but a very fragmented market. Almost half of the 55 countries have populations of under 10 million people. Trade is obstructed by over 100 unique land borders between countries and further hampered and obstructed by diverse rules that constrain investment and cross-border trade in different areas of Africa's economy, including the services sector. If we're to boost intra-Africa trade, if we're to scale up services sector investment, we need to accelerate the reduction of barriers to trade in Africa, regulatory barriers, tariff barriers, and investment barriers. This is what the AfCFTA is all about. By consolidating Africa into one trade area, providing a platform where businesses and investors can make a contribution to Africa's economic development, whilst at the same time creating opportunities for Canadian investors to invest in Africa, we believe that the AfCFTA is the right platform precisely for that. A large and attractive market with reduced barriers to trade, investment, enables investors to undertake larger revenue projects on a continental rather than a national scale. The AfCFTA therefore offers an appropriate response to the reluctance of investors to invest in small, fragmented, and uncompetitive national markets. We now present you with an opportunity to invest in a consolidated market of 1.3 billion people with a combined GDP of 3.4 trillion United States dollars. In addition to our commitment to reduce barriers to trade in goods and to ensure harmonization of customs procedures, we are also committed to reducing regulatory barriers in the area of services trade, as well as establishing a common set of rules on digital trade, intellectual property rights, competition policy, as well as creating opportunities through the protocol of women and youth in trade, creating opportunities for segments of society that often are left behind by trade agreements. The protocol on dispute settlement enhances the value proposition of investment in Africa. Through the operationalization of the protocol on dispute settlement in April 2020, Africa signaled readiness to be bound by trade and investment rules and obligations that state parties to the AfCFTA themselves negotiated. Africa is committed to open business, open trade, based on a single set of rules, and that is to say the AfCFTA agreement itself, and presentation of a dispute settlement mechanism through the operationalization of the dispute settlement body. The AfCFTA is complemented by other continental economic instruments, and these include the Single African Air Transport Market, which seeks to further liberalize skies, a program for infrastructure development in Africa, amongst other economic development initiatives. It is being implemented along these initiatives to address Africa's developmental challenges and realize better economic benefits for the entire continent. Ladies and gentlemen, while Africa, as other continents in the world, have been severely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, it is well placed now than ever before to rebound better and stronger and achieve the economic transformation and development desired for the Africa that we want. And therefore, notwithstanding the challenges and setbacks of COVID-19, we believe that the AfCFTA, where it is aggressively implemented, positions Africa for further growth in the year 2022 onwards. Today, the case for investing in Africa is stronger than ever. Africa will remain a competitive investment destination for decades to come because of its improving relative risk profiles, demography, and continental integration initiatives. The AfCFTA has the potential to significantly improve ease of doing business in Africa through harmonization of various rules across Africa's economy. Having witnessed its worst recession in over 25 years in 2020, when GDP declined by 2.1%, Africa's economy is forecast to register an encouraging growth of 3.4% and 4.5% in 2021 and 2022, respectively. Indeed, countries across the continent are taking policy actions to create an environment in which businesses can thrive, adopting macroeconomic and industrial policies that are essential for a stable macroeconomic environment that avoids and smooths out volatility in prices, sharp deteriorations in the current account and budget deficits, and rapid accumulation in debt burdens. As we have already seen, and based on the growth forecasts for this year and next year, these various continental policy actions at national level are beginning to yield positive results. The UN predicts that by the year 2050, there will be 2.5 billion Africans, 1/4 of the global population, and the youngest population in the world. Africa is expected to be the world's fastest urbanizing region, and by the year 2045, it will have a larger urban population, larger than China and larger than India. The rate and scale of urbanization will be transformative and has the potential to make African consumers more connected to the global economy. These demographic changes will continue to outpace those of similar positioned economies around the world. In the coming decades, this will ensure that Africa's position as the most demographically attractive investment destination is cemented. Digital and mobile access is rapidly increasing, and thus Africa's young population is better and more connected than ever before to the global economy. According to data from GSMA Intelligence, there will be significant growth in internet and smartphone usage by the year 2025, particularly by young Africans, with the number of connected smartphones projected to increase to 690 million in 2025. Better access to the internet will enable these users to take advantage of digital trade and e-commerce platforms for goods and services. Furthermore, when investors examine whether to enter a new market, one of their first considerations is the presence of adequately sized potential partners or customers. Both are abundant in African markets. Throughout the continent, there are 400 companies with annual revenues exceeding $1 billion, with another 700 companies generating over $500 million a year. These enterprises compete in diverse sectors and are regionally and globally competitive. Significantly, the continued development and maturation of the AfCFTA market will create enormous purchasing power, providing new market space, new market opportunities for both Africa and Canadian investors and businesses. There are huge opportunities for Canadian investors in the AfCFTA market. Currently, Canada exports foodstuffs and advanced machinery to Africa and imports mostly petroleum oils, precious stones, and agricultural products. And in recent years, while the growth in exports has slowed, the value of imports has declined along with oil prices. I therefore urge Canada to reorientate her economic relations and trade outlook more towards the African continent. In this regard, while petroleum oils, gas, and mining will continue to be important for Africa, there are new opportunities to be explored within the AfCFTA context, including in the areas of renewable energy, infrastructure development, ICT, agriculture, processed agriculture, as well as the services sector. Of course, to qualify for preferences and benefits of the AfCFTA market, Canadian investors will have to ensure that their production involves sufficient transformation or value addition in the state party of the AfCFTA. Canadian-based businesses will also benefit from the AfCFTA by partnering with African businesses and contributing inputs, intermediate goods, and supportive services, and by ensuring that sufficient value addition or transformation occurs within an AfCFTA state party, Canadian investors stand to benefit. With the AfCFTA, our continent, Africa, is poised for a major economic transformation, a structural economic transformation, in line with the aspirations of the African Union's Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful continent. I would like to invite you, therefore, to take advantage of the investment opportunities in Africa and to partner with us in the implementation of the AfCFTA. I wish all of us very, very good deliberations in the next 2 days, and I look forward to working with you to enhance trade and investment relations on the African continent. I thank you.